After a crushing defeat last night, the Los Angeles Lakers have officially been knocked out of this year's playoffs, losing in 5 games, and it is quite obvious that things are going to change with a lot of reports and a lot of articles coming about quite literally immediately after the final buzzer. And a lot of writing was on the wall, but now that it's official and they've officially been bounced, things are going to start moving and we're going to start seeing a lot of new changes in Los Angeles. Things such as coaching changes, personnel changes, and a lot more. So before we get into it, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. It'll be greatly appreciated. But without further ado, let's get right into it. So firstly, if I had to give the Lakers a grade on this year's season, I would give them a C-. And the reason why I would give them a C- is strictly because of what the expectations were going into this past season based on the success they had last year, making it to the Western Conference Finals. And even though they got swept in the Western Conference Finals, you could see the potential there with this current makeup of the roster, with this current core, with LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Austin Reeves, and some others. And you could see that, maybe with a few changes here and there, they were on the cusp of reaching that championship level talent and overall just being one of the next teams that'll be in line to compete for a title. And with this past offseason of them doing things such as re-signing Austin Reeves, re-signing D'Angelo Russell, re-signing Rui Hachimura, extending Jared Vanderbilt, going out and signing Gabe Vincent, making other type of signings and moves that are on paper looked pretty well and looked like, okay, going into this season, going into the preseason, it was, okay, the Lakers have a very solid roster. It was high expectations regarding on their depth and their overall lineup flexibility. And the expectations were fairly high for this team, as a lot of people, and even me, had projected this team to be around, a top five seed in the Western Conference. And we expected them to be fairly well and fairly equipped for the regular season, and when they got into the playoffs, we would have saw what happened. But with those expectations, with the aftermath of last postseason and them making it to the Western Conference Finals and them attempting to propel themselves, I would give them a C- strictly off of that. And with the added fact that this is essentially, you wasted another good year, or maybe not wasted, but you just wasn't able to capitalize off of another great year, and most importantly, a healthy year by your 2 stars in LeBron James and Anthony Davis. So that's where my ranking is for them, essentially in terms of an A to F grade. But let me know down below what you think, and if you had to give the Lakers a grade, what grade would you give them? Next, I would like to look at and explain the reasons, just why are the Lakers in this situation? Just why are the Lakers being bounced this early? Just why are the Lakers having all this turmoil? Just what are the reasons for why the Lakers weren't able to succeed and have a successful season this year? The first reason why I feel like they weren't able to capitalize off of this season and ended up being bounced in the first round and being unsuccessful is throughout the entire season, there was a lot of inconsistency and a lot of underwhelming performance of their overall depth. In my opinion, guys like Rui Hachimura, Taurean Prince, Gabe Vincent, just to name a few, for the most part, throughout the regular season, it was a lot of just inconsistencies and underperformance with them. And not just with those specific 3 players, but overall, the overall depth in the bench that they had were either just underperforming or misused, however you want to put it, but they just didn't live up to expectations. And the second reason why I feel like the Lakers just had an underwhelming season was after winning the in-season tournament, throughout the next, I would say month and a half, the Lakers were going through just a pretty rough stretch throughout December and January leading up to the All-Star break. It was a pretty just bad slump, and a lot of it, well, not a lot, but some of it had to do with, some injuries such as Gabe Vincent being out, Rui Hachimura missing some time, being nicked up here and there, Jared Vanderbilt missing time. So you have that caveat to it, but in my opinion, when you have your 2 stars and Anthony Davis and LeBron James being relatively healthy throughout the entire season, both of them playing 65 plus games, Anthony Davis playing I think 76 games, LeBron James playing about 70 or so that's a fairly healthy season for them. That's a very healthy season for them. And when you don't manage to improve your playoff position, when you don't manage to get momentum going into the playoffs, it's a tough stretch. And that's when you lay into the factor that this was just a bad season overall. This was just a very underwhelming season. Now, next, I would like to say that for the most part, coaching has been a problem for this team. You could argue that for the last 2 years. Now, I know it's easy to blame the coach in a lot of broad instances, but me personally, when you look at just what the Lakers struggled with, especially on a game-to-game basis, a lot of it based around things like rotations, things about in-game adjustments, and just little things that the coaches should be responsible for and be able to make up for and be able to do their job on. And that leads me into this next part of this breakdown, is the revelation that the first big change that is most likely going to come with the Lakers is a coaching change, and with the firing of Darvin Ham. Personally, I think you could see the writing on the wall even during the regular season, as it was very prevalent and very obvious that the coaching issues was a problem. There was a lot of in-game issues with the coaching. There was a lot of turmoil within that we were getting reports on, such as players not liking Darvin Ham, players not respecting Darvin Ham, even LeBron James and Anthony Davis saying little remarks in the post-game presses and throwing some shots. And it was just a whole lot of instances that just showed that, okay, this guy is probably not going to be here that much longer. With evidence of that being the case, is that immediately after the game, we were getting reports and articles about Darvin Ham's future is highly unlikely to be with the Lakers, and that his job is in extreme peril. So I think it's quite obvious, and the writing is clearly on the wall, that Darvin Ham is not going to be back as a Lakers coach, and he's most likely going to be let go. And now the question for the Lakers is, who is going to be his replacement? Because they're going to have to go out into the coaching market, and they're going to have to go out and, hire somebody. And personally, unless something crazy happens once the NBA Finals wrap up, I don't really see any hot named candidates that are going to, in my opinion, be open to even interview and potentially bring in for the job. So I think it's highly likely that they go out and they go the same route they did with Darvin Ham, and they go out and hire from an assistant staff, hire from, somebody's staff, and do their interviews there and try to find another first-time head coach. And that can be tricky with the ideology of first-time head coaches, especially with, a team and with a build of a team and the makeup of a team that is essentially in win-now mode. So bringing in a first-time head coach, it is questionable on whether or not that could be the route they should or need to take. But who knows? We'll see when we get there, once the coaching carousel starts, and we'll see who they end up taking. And the next big move for the Lakers is going to be just the whole framework of this personnel. Assuming you bring LeBron James back, which is going to be a later point in this video, assuming that you bring LeBron James back, the only players who are safe, in my opinion, are LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Austin Reeves. And everybody else is going to be a high, just toss-up on, okay, who are the players you keep, who are the players you let go, who are the players you trade, can we move some of these players? It's going to be those conversations that start to rise up. And quite personally, I don't see them bringing back, Taurean Prince. I don't see them keeping Gabe Vincent for much longer. I see him potentially being shipped off. I see Rui Hachimura potentially being involved in trade talks. So I think it's going to be a lot of moving parts that goes into just what the Lakers are going to be looking like come next season, because you're already having rumblings and rumors of them going out and testing the trade market to potentially try and get Trae Young from the Atlanta Hawks. And that could be a separate video on just how would that trade work, and is that the right trade for the Lakers to make. But that's just a one prime example of that the Lakers are inevitably going to be very aggressive this offseason, in my opinion, and I highly expect them to make some moves. Maybe not go out and get a superstar, but I expect them to be very active in free agency, very active in making subtle and slight trades. So expect a lot to come from the Lakers from a personnel standpoint. And the main reason why I feel that they need to go out and be aggressive and expect them to be aggressive in this offseason is because, one, You don't know how much longer you're going to have LeBron James and Anthony Davis playing this well together, specifically LeBron James. You don't know how much longer you're going to be able to get a healthy season out of both of those guys like you did this previous season that you just had. And 3, I think that this entire roster has just proven that it's just not there yet. This roster, this makeup, that it's just not able to win, that it's just not it yet. Yeah, you're close. Yeah, you have some talent. Yes, you show some flashes, but overall you're still missing some pieces. You're still missing some certain fits, some certain cogs. So I think overall, expect them to move big in this offseason, whether it be a trade, whether it be a lot of free agency signings. I think the Lakers are going to be extremely aggressive on how they go about moving in the future with this personnel. Now, I understand that you have some, contract stipulations and some negotiation issues that you're going to have with players such as D'Angelo Russell, who he did underperform in the playoffs, but for the most part, he had a great regular season. He has a player option. Other guys like Jackson Hayes, Cam Reddish, and I think Christian Wood, they all have player options as well. I think Cam Reddish is the guy you bring back. And excuse me for missing his name earlier, but Jared Vanderbilt, he's also a guy that I expect them to keep on the roster. But overall, it's going to be a lot of just negotiations they're going to have to do. It's going to be a lot of just extreme GMing that's going to have to go on to truly complete this roster this offseason. And third, and then to my final point, which I brought up earlier about LeBron James, is that, LeBron James has a player option this year. And I think it's very likely that he could potentially decline. Now, I'm not saying he's going to leave LA, because I would think that the Lakers most definitely don't want LeBron James to leave LA, and I think they want LeBron James to retire a Laker. But I do think LeBron James is going to use his leverage. LeBron James is going to hold their feet and hold their hands and hold everything they have to the fire to tell them, if you want me back, if you want me to accept this player option, if you want me to sign this next 2 or 3 year extension just so I can retire a Laker, you're going to have to do something. You're going to have to trade some of these picks that you have. Because as LeBron James, I highly doubt LeBron James has any care about something that's going to happen in 2029 or 2027 with the Lakers, because LeBron James is going to be like, I'm not going to be here, so why should I care? So he's like, you need to trade those picks. You need to move some of these players. You need to fire this coach. LeBron James is like, I'm still good. I'm still a top 10-ish, bona fide top 15 player within this league. I'm still performing at a high level. You just saw I just gave you a relatively healthy season. I need to win now, and I need to be able to compete now and have the team to maximize that. So I highly expect LeBron James to be extremely tactical and extremely aggressive on how he pushes LA and management up against the wall and forces their hand to do some things, whether it's be for good or bad. I'm just expecting, something major to happen. But let me know down below, what do you think about the Los Angeles Lakers? What is your opinion on the Lakers' future based on what has happened in this past season, and where do you expect the Lakers to go from here? What are some moves you expect them to make? What are some deals that you expect them to get done? How do you see the future of their coaching staff? Just let me know down below your predictions, your theories, your breakdowns, whatever. Just let me know. My name is Ojari Brown. This is BSR. Shout out to you. Peace out.